What's going on, guys? It's Chris here, and welcome back to another deck profile. It's Saturday time, it's deck profile time, it's local roundup time. New deck again this week. We played Ham. For those of you who don't know what Ham is, it's a 60 card build, which is Handtraps, Artifacts, and Mekknights. Mostly popularized by the Mekknight god himself, Shannon Long, who took inspiration from the, I want to say, 2014 deck Hat. I don't know if it was 2014, but that used to be hand traps, artifacts, and trap tricks. The deck was pretty popular and topped a very long time ago. I think it was 2014. And Shenlong had a little bit of success 5 or 6 months ago with this build. It's a build I was very interested in at the time. Obviously, always been a big Mekknight plan and a big Mekknight player, so I went out and bought Gearsus because I didn't have them, because I always used to play like invoked builds, and when I did play Pure at the time, Gearsu wasn't out, so I went and bought some Gearsus and played this deck for a few weeks, but never really took it to locals. Took it to locals this week. We did okay. We got a bye round one. We run round two against Shadow Dogmatica, and then lost round three to Bird Up, so we technically came second with a bye. But yeah, it's whatever. The title says second, so we'll stick with second. So, like I said, it's a big chunky 60 card build of hand traps, artifacts, and mekknights. Pretty much that's all it is. There's nothing too special to say about it. We'll explain the card by card choice like we normally do, and roughly give you a price. So we'll start off with triple copies of Gearsu. He's your main play starter. We'll go over the one card Gearsu combo you can do with this after. He'll set you back. I paid 30 on these. People are asking for like 40 to 45 in the trade group right now, each, that is. But he is on the clock for the Megatin reprint, and he's the kind of card that will be in the Megatins and will just end up being an ultra, and will probably end up being like £5-6 very, very soon. The secrets you'll always be able to pick up for a little bit more. And then big Mekknight ratios here. You got to play triple purple, triple blue, double indigo. I opted for red, I opted for green, and I opted for yellow. Shannon Long played orange. You'll be able to pick up this whole Mekknight engine here for around £20 to £25. It's a really cheap engine. It's had its mega pack print. Green came up quite a lot this week. I never usually play green, but he is a recycler. This deck does have a really good grind game, and this deck, although you might be looking at it going, okay, Mekknights, alright, yeah, whatever, it is actually a going first deck. So with that in mind, it's pretty good. Gearsu will always set you up at least one column, which means you can always get a search of blue. So the deck is actually aiming to go first. Red out stuff. Red out's monsters, yellow out's traps. Green is your recycler, blue is your searcher, indigo is your playmaker, and purple searches everything and recycles itself and is the best Mekknight by far. That kind of rounds up the Mekknights. We do have a couple of non-Mekknight cards right now, which are some Gearsu targets to send. We play one Chalice and one Armor. These are a part of the basic Gearsu combo. This gets you a World Legacy card, and this also gets you a World Legacy card the turn after, so it helps you set up for future turns if you don't need that World Legacy card right there, right then. I wanted a second normal summon in the deck, like Shannon said in his video, which you'll find. It's a little outdated, it is like 6 months old, but his list and him explaining will be a million times better than I am anyway. I opted for the same second normal summon as him, which is Sangan. The thing searches anything, and one thing he said is it can search Orange Sunset, the other Mekknight, the one that we didn't play, that he played. But yeah, it basically searches you any hand trap. Did come up, I misplayed heavily in the last game, but in the Bird Up matchup, I didn't want him getting another Barrier Statue or a Samorg, so I normal summoned Sangan, crashed the Sangan into something just so I could search Ash to stop the Samorg being able to summon. Inevitably, I misplayed after and lost anyway, so it doesn't matter. For the hand traps, I opted to play triple copies of Ash and triple copies of Droll. I also opted to play one copy of Effect Veiler, and we are also playing Infinite Impermanence, but that will obviously come up in the traps. Imperm is good this format. Going back to Shannon's video, which I'll probably leave in the description. He didn't play the Imperms because at the time it wasn't good. Imperm is pretty good this format. Droll is amazing, stops a lot of decks. Ash is Ash. Veiler is here for the Access Celine Hulk combo, something he doesn't play and something that just nobody plays. It's so good. You always have to be aware. And the fact that Gearsu can become a tuner, and Gearsu and the token can make Hulk, summon the Veiler, make Selene, make Access. It's so good. You can do all of that before you go into any extending with your actual mekknights, force negates, outboards. It's so good, and I would not cut it at all. Whoops, we just punched the camera. Artifacts, triple copies of Lancia. He didn't main Lancia, but it's so good, this format, that I opted to also main it. You could also put this in the Handtrap lineup. And I opted for double copies of Scythe. Realistically, should probably play one, is it Megalith? The one that pops a card when it's summoned. I just didn't have it, and didn't really need it when I was testing like online, to the point where if I really felt that it was needed, I would have probably bought one. But that rounds up the monsters. We're moving on to the spells. Triple copies of Artifact Ignition. This is a spell and trap removal that also sets up a Mekk-knight column. It pops a spell or trap in any of the zones, and then sets an artifact directly from your deck. So it's gonna replace itself in order to make a column. With that in mind, it's just really good. It's better than yeah, it destroys, but it's better than, say, something like Twin Twisters, where you have to make the choice in a Mekk-knight deck of whether you have to set the Twin Twisters to make a column, but then obviously you can't play it. Whereas this, you can just blindly pop something and you still get a column off it. If I was to go back to making a 40-card build, I probably would be maining Lancia and this, and maybe a Scythe as well. Triple copies of World Legacy Memory. You are a Mekk-knight deck. This is a extender, a playstarter, and everything in between. It does lock you into Mekknights, which you're really not bothered with. You play enough of them in the extra deck, and you play enough of them in the main deck to where you really don't care. The last three of in the deck is Pot of Prosperity. Draw card. Just enough said. You don't heavily rely on the extra deck too much, although there is everything in the extra deck can be made really easy. For some World Legacy cards to search, we are actually opting for double copy Succession and one copy of Key. Key is here to stop them trap decks. Succession is here to Monster Reborn, playstart, and of course it's searchable. Kind of gone off a little bit on the prices right now. Hand traps, I talk about every video of the prices. Prosperities, they're still £70. Memories you'll pick up for cheap. Ignitions you'll pick up for cheap. Lancias, Scythes you'll pick up for cheap, and we talk about hand traps all the time. Sangans and the World Legacy cards as well, they're all like less than £1. If I ever don't mention a card, it's either because I've mentioned it in a previous video, or it's just so cheap that it's just not even worth mentioning. You've probably got hundreds of them in bulk. Going on to the traps, triple copy of World Legacy Secrets. You want to see this in your opening hand, if not search it. He's not only a Monster Reborn, but it shuts off monster effects, which out of everything is kind of the most important thing. People cannot play without monsters unless they're playing something like Mystic Mind Burn or something like that. Without monsters, they ain't getting anywhere. Triple copies of Infinite Impermanence. Again, stop them monster effects. Pretty good. On top of that, triple copies of Artifact Sanctum. Summoning Scythe on your opponent's turn, locking them out the extra deck is absolutely broken. As well as that, you can also summon a Lancia in those decks that really require the Lancia. We also opted to run triple copies of Torrential Tribute. Can activate this and then chain something like purple onto it so that you have a board presence for next turn. And one thing that all of these have in common is they're all normal traps, so triple copies of Trap Trick as well. Going back to these, everything you see here, maybe bar Sanctums and of course Imperms, are very cheap. Torrentials you can pick up in common. Sanctums you can pick up for, I'd say, like £6 to £7. Secrets, World Legacy Secrets, maybe 2 or 3, and that's 59. The 60th card is one World Legacy Whispers. This is your spell negate for Mekk-knight columns. Was pretty good last format with Dryatrons, not so good this format. There's still like impactful spells you can stop, Lightning Storm and stuff like that. Going on to the extra deck, I'm opting for double Morningstar. He is still really good, and you make him most, if not all, games. He pretty much standalone is one of them cards. If your opponent doesn't read, I mean, we're kind of now like where everyone knows what he does, but him not only being able to discard a World Legacy to search, which is the main thing you use him for, but him taking no battle damage and any Mekk-knight taking no battle damage unless it's in the same column can really force like bad players to make mistakes. So it's just something to always be aware of. We are opting to play the Spectrum Supreme, and we are playing the Avramax. There we go, we'll get there. Mekk-knight Spectrum Supreme can catch people off guard. It pops card in its column to summon a Mekk-knight as well, so you can summon a green and get something recycled back off that. Avramax, you can make this under IP, and it becomes a big problem. Also, they're all mekknights, so if you ever activate World Legacy Secrets, you have plays for both Link 2, 3, and 4, so you're never locked out of just summoning mekknights for the sake of summoning mekknights. 2 copies of Lib. I was only playing one of this. I kind of wanted another generic Link 2. I tested Artifact Dagda, and I tested Cyframe Gear, Gamma in the main, and Lambda in the side, because Mekknight Purple triggers Lambda. And it's good. I will not knock anyone that says, oh, you should play this. It's a very good idea. Basically, if you summon a Lambda and activate Purple to banish to search a Mekknight, it will trigger Lambda, which will search you a Gamma as well, which is not only a free discard, but more importantly, it's a yet another searchable hand trap. But Lib is just what I opted to play the second. You have to play at least one. But I would recommend the second. It is pretty good. Can maybe link someone if you have a World Legacy card in the grave. That's never, ever, ever a problem. You've seen how many we have. Memory, Secrets, Whispers, on top of, like, Chalice and Armor as well. And then, if it's linked summoned, you can shuffle a card back, so it also removes... Sometimes you remove the token, sometimes you don't. Not removing the token plays around, like, the Lyrilless card that summons. I want to say Wobbler? I could be wrong. Plays around Lightning Storm, plays around Evenly Matched. It is not a bad thing for them to for you to not use this effect on your turn 1 and keep the token on their side of the board. It does play around quite a lot of stuff. Did you know Gearsu is also an Orcus card? So, Galatea Ding, pretty good, self-explanatory. Again, not expensive. You make Galatea, you obviously don't use the effect. You slap a Ding on top, and that's that. It's not really much. Ding can also attach a banished machine, which isn't normally a problem because, stuff isn't machine in this deck, but there is, the Mekknight Link 2, and I think the Link 3 and the Link 4, I think all the Mekknights. No, just the Link 2. For some bizarre reason, just the Link 2 is a machine. So if you banish this off red or yellow, you can get it back. A couple of generic links, Nightmare Phoenix, IP Masquerena, Almirage to link off your Sangam with, Link Karibo to link off your token with, and then, like we said, Hulk Selene and Access as well. This is such a good combo that people need to be aware of, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll go over the side deck, but one thing I do want to mention before the side deck is this. Your side deck is not only format dependent, local dependent, tournament dependent, and more importantly with this deck, it's kind of hard to side because this deck is a going first deck, and when I made this side, I kind of put everything into the going second side. And the deck is just as good going second as it is going first because it's Mekknights. So I kind of don't, although I think this side deck is phenomenal, don't think it suits this deck as well. Triple copies of Dark Ruler No More, some spell and trap removal. Those of you know I do like the double Cosmic and Duster. I opted to play 3 Windy Kaijus. This was because I know Bird Up is a thing in this format. I played triple Evenly for the first time in many formats, and triple Nibiru. Like I said, kind of format dependent and everything else. That was the deck. I'll roughly show you the Gearsu combo right now that just gets you to where you need to. So you have Gearsu in your hand on top of like 5 other things. You're going to normal summon Gearsu, and you get to send a World Legacy card to the grave, which it will always be Chalice or Armor. In the situation where you're struggling for World Legacy cards, you send World Legacy Armor to the grave. You then use its effect to give yourself a nice shiny token, use that token to make a Link Karibo, then use both of these to make a copy of Lib. Lib the World Key Blade Master activates because you have a World Legacy card in grave, allowing you to instantly set a World Legacy card, which would usually be Succession. You can activate Succession, get World Legacy's Armor back, and then Armor lets you add another one. And then, from here, it just depends on what you're feeling. If you already have something, Secrets is a good option. If you already are in a good situation where you can extend here with Mekknights. If you're not in any situation where you can extend with Mekknights, World Legacy Memory is the other option you can add. And then from here, you can go World Legacy Memory to get purple. Just find that. World Legacy Memory can get purple. Purple can banish to search your blue. Blue will get you another search for like an indigo. And, before you know it, you now have this in board with this in hand. And, you've got a Link 4 here. You've got a Link 2. You've got the world is your oyster here. Basically, you can link both of these off into the Morningstar, discard, search another world legacy, or you could link all of these off into Avramax. The world is your oyster, and you of course still have 4 cards in hand at that point. But that's been the deck, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We do deck profiles every Saturday for the decks that I play at locals. So, if you're into deck profiles and like seeing cool decks, probably worth the subscribe. I do have my sealed only series that should be back up Wednesday, so fingers crossed for that. But it's been watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.